Hello, Theater 1 students. This is your introduction to our first list of vocabulary for the year. Now, you might look at this list and say, there's 25 things on here. I don't know if I can do this in a week. It's okay. You know a lot of these words anyway, especially if you've taken theater classes in middle school. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. We start with our locations vocabulary because it's important for any actor or theater worker to know everything that goes around in the theater. So as you can see, right now, I'm in the theater to kind of give you a hands-on look on different aspects of the theater itself. So as I go through my list, you're going to be treated to what that looks like in the theater itself. Normally, you guys would be out here with me going, oh, that's what that is, but, you know, COVID. So our first item on the list is the apron or forestage, the section of the stage that projects from the proscenium into the auditorium. Now, you've got that little diagram at the bottom of the page, right? We have the audience out where the seats are, and immediately in front of the audience is the apron or forestage. So you have our curtains that you can see right here. Beautiful curtains. Good either side. As soon as you step in front of those curtains, you're on the apron or the forestage. That's where I am right now. So this part that juts out is the apron or forestage. It's called an apron because, well, it looks like an apron hanging down from someone who's cooking. Makes sense, right? Next up, we have blackout. All lights in the auditorium and on stage are turned off. Now, I mean, you guys are pretty smart. You know what that looks like. You've been in a blackout before. But just to give you an idea, right now, I'm turning off all the lights in the auditorium. Uh-oh, there's still one left. Got to turn that off too. Blackout. There we go. That's blackout. Pretty simple. Let's get some lights back on here, shall we? Back to our list. The box or the loge. That is a small separated seating area, usually on the side of the theater, reserved for a few people. Now, normally, if we were in a really high quality theater, you know, something that you would pay buku bucks to go to, you'd have some boxes on the side where people can pay a little bit extra and they get to sit by themselves. They don't get to get crowded with everybody else. It's really comfy. That's the box. We don't have those. What we do have is we have these walls that open up if we have a very large number of people who want to come, which does happen sometimes. And that's kind of like our box. All right. The box office is a place where tickets to a production are being sold. We usually keep our box office out in the entryway, you know, far away from the actual seats. And that's what most people do. Some people have a specific area that's set aside or a actual box. That's why it's called the box office. The catwalk, and normally you would get a chance to go see the catwalk. It's pretty cool. A very narrow walkway on the ceiling of the theater where lights and scenery are hung from. So our catwalk, go ahead and give you a look up there. The catwalk is up there. You get to the catwalk by going in through the sound and lights booth. You can kind of see the stairs right through there. The stairs lead up to there to the catwalk. I apologize for not being able to take you up there this year. It's pretty cool. Next, center, the exact center of the stage space. Areas on either side are center left or center right. Pretty simple again. You have the diagram to use as a reference. When you get behind the apron, then you have all these areas of the stage. Center is right in the center of all of that. Okay? Not upstage, not downstage, the very center. Okay? Downstage is the part of the stage that's closer to the audience. So as you walk away from center toward the apron, you are walking downstage. Now, moving downstage is different than the place downstage, just so we're clear on that. If I tell you, oh, you need to move downstage, and you get onto the apron and you keep going, you're still going downstage. You're just on a different part of the stage. You are moving downstage. Okay? The dressing is various items and props used on the set to make the scene look more realistic. Normally, I wouldn't be able to show you this because, you know, we wouldn't have started a production yet, but COVID hit us right when we were like about to start State Fair in the spring. So we actually have some dressing right here. We've got a booth that we were going to be selling some ice cream and various treats at. We've got part of the back set that was going to look like a trailer. We've got some stuff that is our dressing that unfortunately we're not going to be able to use this year. Anyway, that's the dressing. The items are the props used on the set to make the scene look more realistic. The fly system. The rope lines, pulleys, and counterweights that move theater components like curtains, lights, scenery, stage effects, and sometimes people. So let's take a look up at that. Let me turn some more lights on so you can really get a good look at it. Yeah. So up here we have our fly system. We've got all of the things that connect the curtains. We've got some things that connect to the lights. We have a couple of things that you can't really see because this curtain's closed right now. But if we could open it, there you go. We've got some chains up there that we can hang some scenery stuff from. All sorts of cool stuff. So that is our fly system. If you're working in the flies, and that's what that's talking about. The fourth wall is the imaginary wall between the audience and actors on the stage during a show. Now, you guys have all heard of breaking the fourth wall. That's exactly what that is. When you are talking to the audience specifically, when you're supposed to be just talking to each other on the stage. And a lot of times that's done on purpose. But the fourth wall is that wall that is between the apron and the audience that you're not supposed to break usually unless the script calls for it. The foyer or the foyer, depending on how fancy you want to be, it doesn't matter to me how you pronounce it, is the entrance area of the theater that usually contains the box office, concessions, and restrooms. Pretty simple. The area where you come through that door out there, that's the foyer. All right. The front of house, and this is the area of the theater and people who deal with the audience, like the ushers or box office. Now, front of house can also apply to the foyer, but when you're talking about finding your seat, when you're talking about moving people out of your seat, that's the front of house. People that work as ushers, box office, house managers, they all work in the front of house. They work with the audience. The green room is the room close to the stage where the actors to meet and relax before or after going on stage. For our purposes, that is the classroom that I teach in, is our green room. The house is the auditorium or the audience. So there's the house. Now, another definition of house is the audience itself, right? So you could say, how big is the house? How many people do we have in the auditorium today? How big is the house? The house lights are the lights that are used to illuminate the auditorium itself. All of those lovely twinklers up there are our house lights. We usually dim those before the show to say, okay, get to your seats, guys. The show's about to start. The mezzanine is the balcony seating in an auditorium. If we had more money, we'd have a mezzanine. As it is, our mezzanine consists solely of those people who are up in the light and sound booth. They get to be in our little mezzanine. Lucky them. Offstage is the stage area that the audience cannot see. So any part the audience can't see is offstage. As soon as you get behind the curtain, you're offstage. That's the area where you're supposed to be quiet because the audience can hear you. Guys, shh. Shh, the show's starting. Okay? That's offstage. Offstage also applies to the green room because you are offstage there too. But any area that is not seen by the audience is offstage. Next up, the orchestra pit is where I'm standing right now. The sunken area of the stage where the conductor and musicians are located. Now, fun fact about our stage, we have an orchestra pit. We just don't use it because, well, that would take people. So if you were to have the right tools, you could lift up this part of the stage and you could have an area for an orchestra to sit to play music during the show. Now, we usually don't use it because this takes up a large portion of our apron, so we don't usually have it. But that is the orchestra pit. Next up, periactos. periactoi would be another way to say it. A triangular prism on wheels used for displaying and changing theater scenes. Now, I would be able to show you one of these as well because they are very useful. But one is a periactos. If you have two or more, then they're periactoi. That is the plural form of it. I believe we have dismantled our periactoi already this year. Yes, we did. We had 4 of them that were very useful. You could paint one scene on one side, and then to just change scenes, all you'd have to do is just rotate the triangular prism, and you'd have a new scene. Pretty cool, right? Okay, preset, when a prop or costume is placed on the stage before the show begins. That's pretty simple. It's just, the show hasn't started yet, but the curtain's open, and we have a lamp, and several chairs, and, a door. That's preset. That's already there before the show starts. The proscenium is the arch that frames the front of a theater stage. So, we've got our apron that I'm sitting on right now, where the orchestra pit is as well. We've got our areas of the stage over here, and then we also have the proscenium. I am now standing directly under the proscenium. This is where the curtain, the main blue curtain, is. That's the proscenium. Okay? So if you're standing in there, then if the curtain closes, you better move either forward or backward, otherwise you're going to be crushed. Okay? Stage left. Make sure we understand on this one. Stage left is the area of the stage to the left of center stage when facing the audience. When facing the audience is the key word here. Okay? Stage right is the area of the stage to the right of center stage when facing the audience. So, if you were sitting in the audience, it would be backwards for you. But we're not. We are the actors. We know what we're doing, right? So I'm sitting on the stage, and I'm standing center stage right now, okay? To my right is stage right. To my left is stage left. It makes it easy for the actors to keep track of where they are. It's more difficult for people who are up in the booth who have to be like, okay, stage right is my left, but it's not confusing for actors because it's just to your right or to your left when you're facing the audience. Make sure you're clear on that, okay? It's to your right is stage right, to your left is stage left. Upstage, the area of the stage farthest away from the audience. That makes sense because downstage is closer. If you're moving downstage, you're moving toward the audience. If you're moving upstage, you're moving away from the audience. That's pretty simple. And finally, the wings. Now, we talked earlier about offstage, the area the audience can't see, and that is a very broad area. That's talking about everywhere the audience can't see you, then you're offstage. But the wings are where we're standing earlier too, the out-of-view areas to the sides of the acting area. As soon as you get behind the curtain, then you're in the wings. You're off stage, but you're in the wings, okay? So just make sure you are very clear on the difference between off stage and the wings. The wings are specifically right behind the curtains, or in the auditorium itself. Off stage is the wings, yes, but it's also anywhere else that you might go the audience can't see you. Now, also for our first quiz, you're going to need to be able to label this little diagram, okay? So make sure that you know where all the areas are. Center should be pretty easy, right? But make sure you're marking, okay, if I'm standing on the stage, my left is stage left. My right is stage right. Just so we're all clear on that one. Be very clear on that, okay? If you have any questions, come on back into the Google Meet and let's talk about it. Thanks, guys.